What's up, guys? How we doing today? Hope y'all are doing awesome. Today we're going to talk about it's a hard truth. Think about it that I've kind of been thinking about as I kind of think about preparedness and what's really going to happen in like a serious long term like long term famine or long term, if we get nuked or whatever the worst case scenario, if it goes long term, many people are not going to make it. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to explain that, my thoughts on that here in a second. Stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. All right. So you kind of get the gist of what I was going to talk about, but and you may have your own thoughts on this too, but I mean some serious like SHTF scenarios as I'm looking on like social media sites and whatnot. Reading, I'm in some of those prepper groups and stuff like that, and they always ask these questions, and and it just seems like, for one, they're overcomplicating it, but for two, it's like hearing some of these stories that people talk about, like I'm this or I need this or medically, and and how untrained people are, that it's like if something serious goes down long term, I'd say a vast majority of people, myself probably included, because I need a lot more training and a lot more stuff and a lot more. I'm still, says me, underprepared. So it's like, how long are we actually going to last? I mean, we talk about like end of the world or zombie or grid down, or if the grid goes down permanently to where there's no way to go to the grocery store and buy your groceries, or no way to fill up your gas tanks, or no way to, yeah, people store that stuff. They put it away, but I mean, legit, how long are people actually going to last? Especially those that are young children that need support and need, and the medically, the ones that need medicines. I mean, how long are they actually, and not that I, I'm a big fan of this or support this. It's just a hard reality, hard truth that, it's something that we have to keep in the back of our mind, that a lot of people are, a lot of people aren't going to make it for very long, and it's just, the elderly, grandma, grandpas, they may not have the physical ability to really protect themselves. If they need protection, if you need to bug out and actually walk, how far can they walk? How fast can you walk because of them? And not that they're holding you back, or not that I'm trying to say that. I'm just saying legit, they talk about bugging out, and they talk about, survival, and, yeah, you're, you may be good, but is everybody in your group good? Is everybody in your family good? Is everybody in your household good? And you've got to keep that in the back of your mind, that, that not everybody's gonna make it long term. And that goes with everybody. I mean, I think of, if something were to happen like that, which I think is potential, because especially some of the, like the Bill Gates of the world, that think we're overpopulated, that'd be a heck of a good way to kill off a lot of population, because a lot of us ain't gonna make it, and they know that, because long term, if something happens, if for no other reason, you just get sick, you can't, because I see a lot of unprepared people out there. Like I said, myself included. Not unprepared, but underprepared, undertrained. They're not trained enough. They don't know. They have all this stuff, but do they know how to use it all? Do they know how to do everything? Do they know how to? Do they have enough people to to run a community of preppers, and are they lone wolfing it, or is it, nope, this is my stuff, and where do you keep it? Are you keeping it at your house? Are you gonna, because if it's like war on our soil, where troops come in, or even like a civil war, as some of you prepare for, and the bad guys come in, or they come in and they overpower you, and they force you out. If not kill you, they at least force you out, force you to skedat, and now they have all your stuff, and you're left with nothing. You're out to take off and get out of town with nothing. How are you going to survive? That, and some of the not so great people that are underprepared, they're going to get hungry. And when people get hungry enough, they do whatever they can to get a bite to eat. They'll steal it, and then going to end up getting themselves killed or kill somebody over food or whatever. And it's just a sad truth, but not everybody's going to, and you've got to keep that in mind. Are you prepared for every single situation, every single person in your group? Do you have a plan for everybody? And that's the thing. If you want your whole community or your whole group or your whole family to make it long term, you got to have a plan for that. If some of them rely on certain medications, you better hope you have a lifelong supply of that stuff. Because if it's one of those, they will die without it, it's a sad truth. Or if people can't walk, if you've got people in wheelchairs or motorized wheelchairs that they've got to, or whatever, you've got to prepare for that. And those are the people, unfortunately, like I said, I'm not condoning this. It's just the hard truth that we've got to think about, because we all have people in our group. We all have people in our family that are dependent on something and can't necessarily walk for miles or hundreds of miles or however far our bug out location is and stuff like that. And it's just one of those things that we've got to think about that. It's kind of a shorter video today because it's pretty straightforward, but a lot of majority of the people in a long-term scenario are not going to make it. And then if/when it does come back, we're going to have the strong survivors and the rich elite that were able to go off and not even notice that it was happening. And then it's going to be even worse. And then the whole civilization as a whole is going to be gone because, sorry about that, my alarm just went off. Time to wake up. But it's going to be, it's basically, all this preparedness stuff that everybody talks about, but hard truth reality is most of us, if not all of us, it's going to end society if it gets that bad. And there's going to be really nothing left, because once the lights do come on, if ever, it's going to be the strong ones that were able to survive that long term, and the rich elites. And then they're going to have a war, and they're going to kill each other off, and then the whole human race as a whole will be extinct. That's my philosophy. I'm just thinking don't let that keep you from preparing. Keep preparing, because what's the odds of the worst case scenario happening? Not great. They're not great. You have a better chance of losing your job. You need to prepare. You need to have food put back or whatever to lose your job, or to have an earthquake or a hurricane, or that's a lot more feasible of something that could actually happen, rather than, the worst case scenario that you could possibly think of. But worst case scenario that you could probably think of is, not many of us are going to be left if that happens. Not many of us are going to be left if that happens. And there's just going to be a very select few that are going to be around after that. And once it does settle down and come back to, it's going to be the elites against the strong survivors. And who do you think is going to win that fight? The elites that were off in some island or whatever, or cave or wherever and living like they always live, and then they come out and they're going to be met up with some pretty mad people, the strong ones that survived it. And if they survive that, but I'm just saying, hard truth is, if something long term that we all try to prepare for, that like this is the worst case scenario, keep preparing for it. Keep preparing, keep getting your stuff, keep getting training, because obviously you want to last as long as you can. But, and then there's that other thing that, I was hearing somebody, I think it was Bear Independent, was putting on a video of like a scenario, like, okay, we got nuked. We're out on a business trip and we got nuked, and you have to gather your intel and get your information. And he was like, okay, say this is the scenario, and he was there, and we got nuked. Okay, can we go home? Okay, home is gone. That's where they hit. Was my hometown, was my home city, and now all my family, all my loved ones are gone. What do I do? Like, everybody I know, all my family, if I go home, it's pointless. So I'm on my own now, basically. It's other than the people that are with me at that time. And a lot of people are, and again, this is unfortunate, and I think about this a lot too, like, what would I really do if something like that were to happen? And a lot of people would self-delete. And that's a sad truth, but it's not, and I'm not pushing for that. I'm not saying, let's just go ahead and end it because, you've got nothing left to live for. But a lot of people will think that way. Like what would you do if you were on a business trip and that worst case scenario happened, but it happened in your hometown where everybody, all your friends, all your family, all your support group are now gone. And all you've got is these people right here by you to get through it. I mean, they may be well equipped and well trained and well prepared for this event too, because what if you're at a prepper event? What if you're what if you're whatever? But just scenario based. What if something like that happened? What if worst case scenario, you were out on some kind of a trip out of town for whatever, a camping trip, a training exercise trip, or business trip, or whatever, and the unspeakable happened, and your town got leveled, everything in it, everybody's dead, all your friends, all your family are gone. What would you do? And I think a lot of us would just self-delete and just like, whatever, I got nothing left, all my stuff's there, all my equipment's there, all my friends are gone, all my family's gone, why not join them? Again, I'm not advocating for that. It's hard truth. It's a hard truth that a lot of people don't consider when they're preparing and talking about preparing. And I'm not saying to pump the brakes or anything. I'm saying keep going, keep prepping, keep getting it, but just keep the realities of reality in the back of your head when you're preparing and when you're thinking about stuff, because a lot of people they don't want to think about that, and that's the sad part is I don't want to think about that. I don't want to even consider that. That's the last thing I want to happen. But if you're preparing for worst case scenario, you've got to think of everything that could be considered in the worst case scenario. A lot of your loved ones may not make it for very long. Though they could go off to find food, and that food may eat them, or somebody else might be looking for that same food and want it worse than they do, or whatever the case may be. Not a lot of people, not a lot. Okay, my words. I'm starting to ramble anyway, but a lot of people aren't going to make it, and that's just the reality of preparing, and the reality of war, and the reality of, it reminds you of just things that happen. You're just going about your day, and like on 9/11, that was you know, 24 years ago or so, but like on a day like that or something where, you're just going about your day and all of a sudden planes run into some buildings and knock the buildings down, kill thousands of people, and we weren't ready. A lot of us weren't prepared for that. We weren't ready. We were just going about our normal lives, and all of a sudden, boom, and makes you realize that things can happen in an instant, and you have no idea. All of a sudden, it's there. Now what? It's time. I should have been more prepared. I should have been more trained, and and like I said, there's just a lot of us aren't going to make it in that worst case scenario. But anyway, enough of that. Just be prepared. Don't push the brakes. Keep that gas pedal going. But just think about common sense. Think about like the realities of it, and keep being prepared. Stay actively prepared. Stay aware of your situation around you, and always carry the most lethal tool you can use to protect yourself that you can legally carry. If you can carry a gun, carry a gun. That's preferred. But if you for some reason can't, the state you live in, or for whatever reason you're not allowed to carry a gun, carry the most lethal thing that you can legally carry to protect yourself and those around you, and be aware of your surroundings at all times, and keep common sense and reality in the back of your mind of what could actually happen if this happens. And anyway, that's it for today. Appreciate y'all. Love you. Do the YouTube stuff. It's, stuff down below for links and whatever to help support the channel and some of my other channels if you feel like it. Anyway, appreciate y'all. Love you. See you in the next one.